Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm bringing back a guest that we had on, let's call it 2 weeks ago. He brought a ton of value, but we're gonna change it up. This particular guest actually, while they had real estate experience before, actually decided to invest in my online course, how to get started one rental at a time. And I'm like, you know what? We should talk to him, see what he thought, see what he liked, what he didn't like, and go from there. So let's welcome Kevin LaGrande to the show. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm well, Michael. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, excellent. It was a lot of fun last time, man. You're fun to speak with.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. I appreciate that. Same here. Same as here.
Very cool.
Except I get a little more fill of you because I get to listen every day.
There you go. That's right. So just in case somebody haven't watched your last video, Kevin, do me a favor. Tell them who you are, where you invest, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I am born and raised in the Northeast, in northern New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan. I am one of those folks who can invest in his own backyard. So I'm about an hour and 6-minute plane ride out to my market in Ohio. So I guess it's just as easy as driving. So
Yeah.
I've looked out of state for an area to invest. So, again, that's why investing what I think is a small amount into your course really helped me actually to accelerate to where I'm at now. I'm actually closing on 2 more deals.
Wow.
Post your course actually Friday coming up.
Nice. Well, we are definitely going to break those apart because that's always fun. And as I recall from our show, you invest in Ohio, but not in the kind of, I don't know what you would call it, the ones that are all over the press, all those big markets.
No.
Yeah, you're in one of those little suburbs, out of the way markets that nobody else is jumping into. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm near an airport, but it's not Cleveland or Columbus. I like it's less competitive, but there's a lot going on. Just understanding the area, there's a lot of growth and development and moving in of residents and things. So
very cool.
You can find little niches everywhere, I guess.
That's right. That's right. And again, if you learn your market, right, it doesn't matter where it is. So that's pretty cool. So
we'll talk about this too, right? The team will help you.
Absolutely. I actually need to take that down, make sure we speak on that. So let's remind folks, as you came into this, right? You probably were following me online a little bit, maybe read my book, and then you still made the choice to invest in the course. But let's remind people where you were at pre-course, right? You had done some real estate investments. Kind of give them your background pre-course.
Sure. After a lot of investment in other courses and just maybe too much shiny object syndrome, I couldn't really get focused. Mm-hmm. So it's spent a lot of time making mistakes, and I tried to flip. It was successful, but it was a lot of work for a full-time employee, right? I turned over some previous houses that we owned into rentals here in New Jersey, but the cash flow is nearly impossible to get in this area. So it barely breaks even. So looking for better investments, I had started outside my current area, I guess, fumbling through and not knowing if I was getting a great deal or not. Mm-hmm. And then, so I put my feet down in 2 different markets and kind of let it sit. And once I decided that one market I really liked, I was in this place where I was like, okay, I know I want to accelerate here, but being ultra conservative, only putting cash down, right? That was our background. It was like, I had gotten burned a number of times on 110% mortgages or whatever. I think it was 102% I calculated at. Yeah. I wanted, we were buying with only cash. And in order to get more comfortable and realize the value of the cash that we have, I heard that on your podcast and I said, this is why I have to get this course and just get into the nuts and bolts of this so I can really feel confident diving into this market.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if I remember your story, it kind of begins with you and your brother spending thousands of dollars you really didn't have on something else, some other thing.
Yes, which I think if we could have just not spent all that money and had some investable cash and focused on maybe one of those courses, might have been a different story. But very cool. Lesson learned for everybody who's listening today.
Yeah, the whole going an inch in 20 directions means you go nowhere. Yeah. Very cool. All right, so you make the choice. You take out the credit card, you buy it online. A couple $100. What'd you do? Right? Were you one of those folks that bought it and dove right in? Did you let it sit there for a little while? What'd you do, Kevin?
Well, what I love about the course is it was already in my busy lifestyle learning style. So um, video oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So I dove right in and just started listening. I'm a salesperson, so I'm in the car often. So instead of the radio, I listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, etc. So basically what I was doing was listening to the audio on those while I was driving.
Nice.
So the first section and the second section, I probably dove right into the first 3 days, right? And what I love about them is they're anywhere from like 7 minutes, 4 to 7 minutes, up to maybe when you get into the real meat and potatoes, about 25 minutes.
Yep.
So for someone like me, type A, traveling salesperson, like very, you can get great information out of short clips, and that's all you really need in order to take action.
Yeah, and it was important for me as someone, really the same guy, right? That salesperson on a plane all the time, just all over, that I wanted to produce. I just wanted to get into it, right? I didn't want to be one of those courses I've seen where, you're into it 2 hours and you haven't done anything yet, right? You talk about your why or all this fluffy stuff. I'm like, nope, we're going to jump right in. You're going to do some homework right away. And did that come through?
Absolutely. And I mean, if you just look at the outline of the course, all of that, all you're talking about your why is at the end, whereas I think most people focus on your why up front. And I believe that that is important. Mm-hmm. But if you're only dreaming, you're not really doing. Yes. So this really kind of got you into, when you walk through it right away, you're like, wow, this is doable, right? And as you start to see good deals right away, because it's that simple, you start to think, okay, now how can I afford? So your mindset changes, because right away you're like, all right, that's a good deal. So now I have to start figuring out, how can I afford this? Or what should I finance? How much leverage, etc. And if you keep going through the course, all those questions get answered, which is great.
I'm glad, because that was, I debated that for a while. I mean, it obviously doesn't come through in the course, but I debated, do you do it the same way everybody else does it, or do I keep trying to be different? And of course I went the different route. I'm like, no, if somebody's going to buy this course, I want them to start doing stuff in their market day one. Like, I think it's like video 3 that the work starts. I think I did a here I am video, and then like a quick one, time to get going video. And then it's like, okay, time for work. Right. And you had to make some choices, right? You had to pick a market and asset type. And, was that interesting or hard for you, or did coming out of the gate hot like that? What happened?
It certainly wasn't hard. The one thing that you promote all the time, and I think is the right thing, is start with a spreadsheet that's super simple, maybe 5 columns, right? And then you could add as you go, but just like you said in one of the videos, like, it just slims down. I added square footage and price per square foot and all this stuff, which, again, and whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. But then you could potentially get into that overanalyze phase. But as you roll into focusing on the yield and changing the variables, you realize, okay, I can slim this down. I left a lot of that information in the sheet that I currently use daily.
Sure.
But, as I'm picking kind of my next deal, this one or that one, when I'm going from like good to great to outstanding, is when I'll start to pull in some of those, really minutiae variables, but not necessary, right? But at the same time, very helpful.
Yeah, and I love that you're using the vocabulary of the course, because that's really what I'm trying to help people. If you do the work and you focus, you should understand what your market, whatever it is, produces, right? So in your market, what is an average deal, right? After you did the homework for a while, what's average? Is it 8, 6, 5, 12?
Inside the bell curve is 7.
Okay. So if an average deal, we'll just call it 7. Which again, don't do those deals. Don't be average, but do the work to figure out what average is, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
So then
that's totally
where do you go from there? And then where do you go from there? What is great?
Without changing any variables, right? I started to hone in on, so what's above 7, right? But now, like, I actually had a lot of choices. So I was like, okay, we're going 12 and above.
Wow.
And then what you find is 12 and above, right? You have to understand everything we've learned. 12 and above, some of those were $40,000 houses that
Mm-hmm.
somebody maybe had turned over. They
Yep.
had like either they needed a lot of money in, or someone had turned them over. But when you got to say to yourself, when the average, for me, the average market price is around $75,000.
Okay.
So for me, when something's 40 and brand new turned, you gotta wonder what's going on.
Yeah. And again,
So
remember you're an hour and 6 minute airplane away, right? So the spreadsheet should
yeah, but
also
that's
send
something
warning.
I will, yeah, send warning, right?
Yeah.
And in your group, right?
Yeah.
You see me asking like, okay, I'm going out to the market again. Like,
Yep.
what's something you do every time? You should go out to the market. I don't
Yeah.
recommend not going, right? Because I happen to know, like, yep, I bet you when I go on the map view and realtor, this one that's 40 is probably in that neighborhood of my zip code that I just don't feel comfortable.
Yep.
I don't want to send families to live in,
Yeah.
and so and lo and behold, you find it. But when the hair stands up on the back of your neck because you know a good deal and you click on it, and all of a sudden the map view is it, you're like, it's got to be in that neighborhood, and it's in like one of your target neighborhoods. Man, the hair on your back stands up.
Honey, we're writing an offer.
Exactly. And those are the ones that you got to have a really good team for, because I missed out on two because it's just too slow.
Yeah. Very cool.
And they
Well,
go
let's,
quick.
yeah. So again, kind of coming out of the gate, you're building this ideally simple spreadsheet. It's really just to get the muscle memory of looking every day, right? Did you start to see ebbs and flows in the market just by executing an activity? What was it, like 15 or 20 minutes a day for you?
Yeah. I sort to my primary list. We
Yep.
talk about your circles in the course about getting more and more lists. My primary list, believe it or not, had 72
Okay.
3 bedrooms, 1 bath. So I limited all the 2 1s, which are in the market and rentable, definitely. But
Sure.
the 3 1s make me competitive, against those 2 1s. So 72, but then there's these pockets of the market that I don't necessarily like. So I'm down to about 50.
Okay.
And yeah, so with those 50, and then on a daily, right, when I don't have a lot of time, I get in my price range, and then the ones that are like up at the $150,000 mark, which are ridiculous. I'm
Yeah.
actually not watching those price drops every day, only because like a $5,000 price drop in there, it's still not a deal for me.
Right. No, that's
But
right.
what I'm focused more in on are those below my market average and
Okay.
are dropping price by 5,000, maybe weekly or monthly.
Wow.
Like those are becoming good deals, right? And
Yeah.
then the last two I closed, for example, were, I don't want to call them probate, but they were owners that had passed and now were left to children, and I was like, all right, let's go in low on these because the
Yeah.
high likelihood of acceptance on those, so well below the market on those.
Nice. Now, were they actually in the MLS, or was it a friend of a friend kind of pocket listing, or what's the deal?
I stuck to the course and I stayed in the MLS.
Nice.
But yeah, but and I went out to see them,
Okay.
and the realtor I have has been in the market for 30 years.
Nice.
And when she and I walked into the homes, it's like, yeah, this was somebody's mom's house.
Yeah.
It's in great shape, very well taken care of. Um, they probably just want to offload this,
Yep.
right? The price has been coming down. Let's just go ahead and put an offer. So between the realtor and I, we had this feel like which one's going to take, because
Yeah.
you get to know it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. You do something every day for enough times, you actually do start to feel the market and kind of see at least the near future. That's
Right.
exactly what should happen. So I am curious. So what was the last number they were listed for, roughly, if you remember?
So, okay. So let's talk about 1 3 bedroom, 1 bath.
Okay.
It was listed at 70,
Okay.
which was about 5 below the market
All
for a
right.
3 1. I watched that price come down from 80.
Okay.
And then when the price dropped to 64.9, I came in at 59.
Nice. So what was the yield? Because that's really what the course is all about, is getting to the yield. What was it at 64.9?
So given the variables that I have, and we could
Sure.
talk about how I solidified those, that was a 14%. So
At
double.
64.9.
Oh no, sorry. At 64.9, that was 12,
Okay.
probably 11 and a half. I
Okay.
moved out my decimal places.
And then you said, and then again, right? List price is just a number. you can
Yep.
absolutely come in lower. And frankly, I think I wrote one full price offer this year, as an example, right? I don't,
Yep.
and generally my offers are, I mean, I bet you I wrote more offers 20% below asking than I wrote above 20%. Well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I write cheap offers because I only want the ones that work. So
Absolutely. And then, the alternative, the second one I'm closing Friday was a duplex because again, I'm in different, you can do multiple markets of this
yeah,
thing. That one came on the day that I was looking with my realtor, came on that day, knew it was a great deal. I did give that one on a full price offer.
yeah. But
Because it was
yeah,
the deal I was looking for.
yeah.
And I know there's for duplexes in this market, there are very few of them. And at this price point, I even went back after inspection. I was like, hey, this little thing. And the seller's agent was just like, there are 4 other offers behind you, like
Yeah.
just in case you don't want to take this one. So it's a great deal. You did it. And I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, no problem. Backing down on that one.
Yeah. No worries. We're good. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what's a duplex run in your market?
So duplex runs about 79.
Wow.
Um,
And one
there
ones, two
are
ones, what are they?
2 ones, and that's turned over. So that's
Wow.
refurbished, nice. And those will rent for 650 to 700.
So you get 1,400 rent on a 80K purchase.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't suck. That's pretty good.
And what I love about that is in its lowest, when I look at history and I talk to the property managers, and its lowest is 550.
Oh,
Okay, in a
okay.
down market,
Yeah.
right? 550. So even at 550 with leverage, this thing's going to cash flow me $300.
Control your downside. The upside takes care of itself. I like it.
That's it. That's it. Hey, follow you. Listen, it's
Yeah.
it's not hard, guys. I try to listen and be a good student, and I think it works.
That's very cool. So one thing I know I want to talk about, because step 1 of the course is basically what my goal of that section was: create a daily activity and simplify. Step 2 of the course is, okay, let's get comfortable with math, right? It's
Yeah.
basically where I introduce the yield and I start playing with variables. And, some people like numbers and some people are afraid of numbers. So did I simplify it enough for anyone, regardless of their kind of appetite for math?
Absolutely. I think that folks, when they look at, like, for example, the default interest rate that you put in there,
Yeah.
gets, because there's a formula and stuff. And I don't want anybody to be scared of that, because all you need to do, and as you pre-qualify for this stuff, like, for example, I pre-qualified the lender and they're like, look, at this one, you're going to get a 5.3. So, you can go into, even on Realtor, the calculator's right there. You can put in your purchase price, 5.3, and how much you're going to put down, and you'll have a number.
Yep.
Right. So just go ahead and you can just pop that in. Right. So it takes away the formula. Right. So you don't have to don't get nervous about that stuff. That's a placeholder so that you can have some sort of a comparison.
Yeah.
But as you get more and more serious and you get a pre-qual and you have a rate that's current, you could just go ahead and just use the mortgage calculators. They're fairly close to, it was like off by a couple dollars.
Yeah. So I had to put something there because the last thing I wanted to do was produce a spreadsheet that produced an NA, right? Not available, or some kind of null result or whatever. So that's really cool. And then really this whole course is building up to step 3, right? Where you merge spreadsheet 1 and spreadsheet 2. And did that create any aha moments for you, or what was that like when you finally got there?
Oh, this is where you can kind of really get down in the weeds. You just keep playing and changing variables, and you're like, what if, which is great. So you just got to be careful not to just overanalyze any one deal. But at the same time, some things that aren't going to change quite too much, especially for us in the beginning, is if you're just going to go to like a mortgage lender, for example, that rate isn't going to change too much. Yeah, you're going to lock in, et cetera, but this is the current rate. So that variable doesn't have to change so much. But what you're going to offer on purchase price and how that changes the yield is different. And then once you talk to a property manager and get a solid estimate on rents, use a conservative estimate, plug that in, right? And say, okay, like in a good market, this will rent for 800. In a bad market, it'll rent for 730, 700. And you could really see how bad that yield changes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think worked for me was, okay, in a bad market, like these guys told me, this is going to rent for 750. the lowest this yield is going to go at this purchase price is above the average of 7%, right? It becomes so like, all right. So, and gosh, and I would just drop it down to like what a single family would rent for a 2-1.
Yeah.
And it would go to 5%. I'm like, okay, I had all this
Worst
money
case.
sitting in, I had all this money sitting in the bank and it made me $20 this quarter, so,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Very cool. And then as you exit step 3, you kind of just get into team and whys and all those bonus videos. Anything you want to call out, kind of what else stuck to you in the rest of the course?
Yeah. So the property manager video, it's a great one. Not in this market, but in another market, I have to fire my property manager, fire another one. I'm actually employing that whole video right now. But it's good just to have the questions to ask, to know, there's questions that are on your mind, but you start with these basics. And as you start that dialogue with the property manager, now the questions that are on your mind, the things that I'm probably more comfortable, like for example, on one of my rentals, I had a porch breakdown and it's got to be fixed. I don't get worried about that stuff, but I could see for a new person, that would make you worried. But those are the kind of questions you'll start to ask. This is what makes me nervous. How do we limit these prices and things like that? And those are the conversations. It's a great conversation starter with a property manager if you've never had that conversation before.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess the biggest question for me is, what's changed in your business post-course versus pre-course, right? How's your business different after making this, $200 investment?
Sure. So pre-course, I was doing maybe one a year, all cash in, totally conservative. And I was slow, and I was probably not going to build the wealth I would like to build. We have a goal to T-minus 13 years, 12, 13 years from retiring at 55. So I just wasn't going to make it before.
Right.
And now, the value that I have for the cash, right, rather than putting it all in and potentially making a mistake because I've thought about buying cheap and spending my money, right? But I'm buying things in really good condition. I mean, the inspector that came through on these last 2 that were closing, he was like, he came back to the property manager. He was like, I wouldn't do anything, like a little cleaning and like, let's get them rented, So those are the kind of things we're looking for. And so that values my cash. So rather than, potentially putting, 18, 25 in and then having surprises, I'm, spending up front on good quality and getting inspections and having things repaired up front so that I can just rely on this rental income coming through. Now, what does that do for me? It accelerates. I have 2 closing instead of 1 this whole year. Because I continue with the daily activities. When I go out after these close and I go out and hand the keys over to property manager, whatever, I'm looking at a couple more.
That's right.
So, and I know how much capital I have and how many I can make this year, and then, get back to work, work hard, make my commissions, and maybe hopefully have 4 next year. Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Instead of 1 to 2 to 4. Right. So what has it done for my business? I think it really accelerates and puts my capital to work the best way it possibly can.
Yeah. What I took from that is you took a couple of key things from the course. One is you're valuing your cash, right? I saw too many people take the cheap route and just burn their cash and make unwise investments, right? It's a poor return, especially in an environment where you can get 30-year money below 5%. I mean, it's crazy. So that's cool. And then, what a good, great, and outstanding deal is. And you will get creative if an outstanding deal comes along. You
got it.
You'll find a way, right? It's just that mindset expands. And I'm very, very happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the things ancillary to that, if you get the course, you'll be tuned into one rental at a time. You'll hear video, like for example, the interview with Anna, right? About what cash should we have to get available for an event of a crash, right? Because everything will be on sale. My wife and I are already strategizing. Okay, if this happens, we need cash. We've got equity here, here, and here, right? Like, so we're preparing and getting ready for that. Some of the additional bonus videos on Burr, for example, whether or not it's right in your market, like those kind of things. But I will tell you this, my advice to everybody, look at those bonus videos, but focus on the primary.
Yes.
Because, for example, I was out in the market. My realtor was like, hey, look, I'm going to drive you past my sister-in-law's house. Unfortunately, her husband passed away. Here's a great bar. I mean, it was awesome. It was an awesome deal, but I had to turn to her and say, I don't focus on that right now,
Yeah.
right? Because I came from shiny object, but it's there, right?
Yeah.
But these things will grow out of just starting, because
Focus.
I would have
Yes.
never seen that off-market deal from her if I hadn't gone out to look at other things, right? So these things will come, but stay focused.
Awesome.
If you're just starting out, just do the work and step through, and it'll get you to success.
Do the work. That's awesome. And then the last thing is something I've added is that private Facebook group just for students, which I like, because it gives me one place to focus, because I have so many people asking for my time, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
students first. So I like that. Is that valuable to you?
Absolutely. We learn a lot from each other, and just kind of, paging through, getting any of the updates, who asked what question and how you answer those. I mean, I've asked a few of them, right? But it's good to put it out there, because we learn from each other through osmosis as well.
Yes, for
and
sure.
It creates a safe place for us to land. There's a lot of things that come up, a lot of questions, and you're like, what if? But this or that, right? Yeah. So we're free to kind of come on and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I guess my advice to people is, it's not like Facebook where you're putting your life out there and everybody's going to look, and it's like-minded people. So it's private, and you put your questions out there. I would like to know them. And
that's awesome.
Gosh, I rerun the course just over and over, because the more you listen to, the more you get, the more you've been through a few rounds, and you go through it again, you're like, missed that detail. Why wasn't I looking for that? Like I went through one more time just about picking the area, which again, in the bonus video, right? How to pick an area. And I was like, okay, if I have to choose between great deal and others said great deal closer to a school, I chose that one, right? So just these little things as you've been through, because there's only so much you could take the first time around. And then as you get and absorb that, and it becomes second nature, the second time around, you get all that extra stuff. So
that's awesome.
I'm glad I still have access to it over and over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been fun, Kevin. I am very happy. I'm very happy to see what you got out of it. That makes it, because it took a while to put together. So I'm glad to hear that it made a difference in your business. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're doing. Actually, Friday night, I'm having a cousin over, and we are going to start kind of just talking about real estate. And he's, talking about, hey, I have this bonus check coming in potentially in the first quarter. What am I doing? And I'm like, learn your market. Handed him your book, and I was like, I recommend, I will help you, right? Because I'm a little bit ahead of you. I am by no means probably the mentor anyone necessarily should have. I'm a few steps ahead, but I was like, it's less than $200. Get this course. Right. Start to learn your market now. You got 90 days.
Right. Awesome.
So I recommend it for those who are thinking about starting out. You're going to come into potentially some cash, or you have 90 days to save. Start learning. You have so much you could do between now and when you have your down payment.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Kevin. This has been great. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. I appreciate yours as well. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, buddy.